Hi, good morning, everybody out there in internet world. This is actually Friday, March the 14th. Oh my God, we're halfway through March, which
Way.
means that we're almost at the end of Q1. So like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went fast. So 3 quarters to
hmm
go. All right, this is Atlanta. Actually, I just call it Atlanta Live. It used to be Atlanta Sex Therapy Live, and now it's just Atlanta Live.
I like it.
This is where the staff of Atlanta Sex Therapy gets together. We just talk about various topics that we hope will be helpful to our clients. So, my name is Natalie Elliott, and this is Amanda Flax. She's a current intern
Yeah.
of ours, but she's so much more. Intern does not appropriately reflect your years of experience in helping people, and so we may
Thank
have
you.
to come up with a new term for you.
I'll be
So,
super intern or something.
right. Okay. Super duper. Better. Intern extraordinaire. So, okay. So today we're going to talk about the topic of simply how to bring intimacy back into a relationship. Okay. How to bring it back. And I think before we talk about that, I just want to normalize that intimacy is an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so think about all of your relationships. There's an ebb and flow. Like even a relationship like with your mother, which is a principal relationship for a lot of people. There's some
Yeah.
weeks where you might be talking to your mom every day. And then there's
hmm
some weeks where you're like, golly, I forgot to call my mama. Like
Yeah.
most relationships have an ebb and flow. And so your intimate relationship is no different. And
hmm
so I think a lot of people will panic when intimacy starts to ebb a little bit, like, oh my God, we're not a good couple, we're going to fail, as opposed to just, we're on an ebb. I'd like us to get back to a flow. What needs to happen? So if you could just, first of all, accept that intimacy, like any other part of any other relationship, is going to ebb and flow. Like, don't panic.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah. Natalie, I love that that normalization because it's really scary when we realize that. And I love also that you mentioned that like different relationships we have. There's an intimacy ebb and flow. And the image when you were just talking that came in my head was it's kind of like a polyamory like image that I came up like that came to mind.
Ooh.
We have different relationships that fill different parts like of ourselves that feed
Mm-hmm.
different parts, or not fill, but maybe feed different parts of ourselves. And that's kind of where my mind went, like that our intimacy can ebb and flow with different folks at different times. But if it's working, like if we're getting our cup filled, like that means it's working. But
Mm-hmm.
when it's not working, that's when that scary feeling comes in because we're feeling
Mm-hmm.
a deficit somewhere. So like there are times with our intimate partners that maybe like things are ebbing, but like our mom is stepping in or our best friend or one of our
Mm-hmm.
kids like is filling that void a little bit. But that intimate partner one, it's very special, right? We
Right?
have these intimacy ebbs and flows that come in. And it can be really, I had a client earlier this week, like they're experiencing some ebb in their
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
intimacy, and they're both, I could see it, like they're scared. So it's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. So let's like jump into that part of it, the scary part of it. So first, I I really legitimately would like for couples to talk about when is too long for us.
Mm,
When is too long for us? So I have some couples where where they're traveling. One partner is traveling all the time. Like
yeah.
they may be 6 hours at home and then off again. That's just what their career is demanding
So
from them right
far.
now. And so I would like for couples to say, okay, we need to have sex at least blah blah blah. So is it once a week? Is it once a month? Is it once every 2 months? Like if it doesn't happen within this time period, I'm gonna feel really disconnected from you in a way in
Yeah.
which I'm not gonna like. It's not gonna feel good for me. It's gonna feel really for some people it feels extremely anxious. If they start to feel extremely
Yeah.
anxious. For some people it gets flat out scary because it almost feels like I'm losing my partner.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's just uncomfortable. It's just like I'm used to having this kind of like I'm used to having this,
Yeah.
and so I would love for couples to have that conversation so they could both be aware, just both be aware of kind of, oh, we're hitting that line. Let's back it up, because when we're like in the throes of life, if
Mhm.
we haven't said anything about when that benchmark is, we could be totally clueless that it hasn't happened. Like I know a lot of couples looked up like, it's been 2 months for real, but because somebody had to go to the hospital, and then somebody's work thing did
Yeah.
this, and then we were planning this, and then this happened, and then your parents wanted us out to the house for the weekend. Like all of these things can happen,
Yeah.
moving pieces. So if there's been some type of conversation, then at least both parties know, yeah, that's too long for us. That's too, and it's gonna differ for every relationship.
Absolutely.
So,
Every
um,
relationship is different, Natalie, and every stage of relationship is different. So,
mhm,
what was a panic, like let's say early in the relationship, it's been a week and
mhm,
it's like, where are
mhm,
you been? Like, I need
mhm,
you.
mhm.
Whereas 10 years down the line, every couple is different. And you've said that in a
Right?
couple of times, but 10 years down the line, that week might be a month. And,
Yeah,
that and then it might go back to a week again.
yeah.
But you're so right that like life can get in the way.
Mhm,
And it's that talking that's so important. Something that we don't talk a lot about, since you and I've been joining you on these go lives, we talk a lot about couples with kids and
mhm,
jobs. But
mhm.
something that's been coming up more for me, maybe because my parents are getting older, we're also caring for, and my parents don't live here, but from afar, we're also caring for parents too.
Right.
And that's another added layer of we're busy
We are
and
busy, and
we have to have these conversations or
we
it's just going to
do,
keep going to the bottom
we
of the
do. And
yeah.
I've known people. I'm so glad you said that, because elder care is so huge.
It's
And
huge.
it's for whatever reason, I don't remember my parents dealing with elder care the way my generation is dealing with elder care. It feels very present for me
Yeah.
now, and it didn't seem like outside looking in for my parents that they were concerned about elder care, but they could have been and just didn't share it. But I mean, I have several friends and clients whose parents live up north. We're in Georgia, that live New York, Ohio,
Hmm.
Virginia, like these places where I need to fly in and help you do everything so that I can fly out, because trying to manage it by
Yeah.
phone is so
It's
much.
so
And
hard.
so, especially if there's a problem and we have to do multiple doctor's appointments, that you need to
Yeah.
be there. And so there definitely can be that pull of, I got to take care of my parents, and it requires me being away from my partner. And then when you add work on
Yeah.
top of that, because of course you weren't working, or you were barely working because you had to focus. Now when we
Right.
get back, I got to jump back into work and catch work up. So it definitely can be a lot. So one of the things I would like couples to also talk about is, when we're on an ebb, what is a meet in the middle? What is a tide me over type of
Mhm.
thing? So, for example, could phone sex tide you over?
Mm.
Could that be?
Yep.
Because I just need to have that connection with you. I'd love for it to be physical,
Yeah.
but if it can't be physical, so phone sex, video sex, because a lot of people are doing that these days via Zoom.
Yeah.
Like, what is a tide me over type of activity that the couple can do together? You know,
Yeah, and I
and
want to. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. No. And I love like when we're apart. I love, so many of our couples, like ones that come to us and ones who haven't come to us yet. Like it's really, they're uncomfortable with phone sex or sexting. I just want to put it out there, y'all. It's just between you and your partner. You
right.
love this person. Nobody else needs to be part of it. Like, go for it. Like, there's that, but also, God, I had like a thought come in and a thought come out. I hate when that happens. Yeah, doing that, use technology to your advantage, and I'm sure that
Mm-hmm.
other thought will come to me.
Yeah. And let me give you guys a couple of more ideas. And so it might be something as simple as sharing erotic stories with each other. So maybe like video sexting, it's too much out there for you, which I
Yeah.
understand because there was a movie like where couples got something stuck in their iCloud and somebody had one of their devices and they're just, oh my God, we got to get this device back. So I completely get that. So it might be emailing erotic stories back and forth to each other just
Mm,
to kind of keep that erotic energy,
love that.
going. I'd like to just discuss like, can porn pet play, or any type of erotic material, like discuss like what's the expectations of that. So if I'm not going to see my partner for 2 months because of a family medical issue or a job issue or we just missed each other, like what are we okay with, and making sure we're having those conversations up front as opposed to on the tail
Yeah.
end. I had no idea you were doing this. Well, we haven't slept together in 3 months, so what do you think I was doing? So
Can we talk, Natalie, about the anxiety that, because you mentioned like, let's say it's been 2 months, and let's
Mhm.
say we've been doing, let's say our couple has been doing sexting, sending stories, watching porn, maybe even like watching the
Mhm.
same porn at the same time,
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
What about that anxiety when you are back together? What about the anxiety that can come and say, like it's been 2 months and
yeah,
both want fireworks? What if that
right.
doesn't happen? Like, can we talk about that?
Oh God, that's such a good thing. Okay, all
Because
right,
that
hold on.
can scare us out of pursuing that intimacy on the when we can, right? Or at least that's how
Mhm.
I've experienced it. And
Okay,
talking with couples.
all right. Before I do that, I do want to say I would love for you guys to be preemptive about all of this. Hey, it looks like we're going into a really busy season. This is what I want to talk about. I would love for that to happen. All right. I know for a lot of you guys, that's probably not going to happen. Okay. So let's talk about if one partner's just frustrated.
Okay.
All
Yeah, I don't want
right.
to jump ahead too much. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, no, no. We're gonna get to what you said, but let's say if one partner is just frustrated and the other partner is just feeling this angst and negative energy, yeah, that's gonna be hard to jump back into. All right.
Yeah.
So for the frustrated partner, I really would like for you to verbalize. Just this is just a general good rule in life. The earlier you can verbalize
Yeah.
something, the softer you can verbalize it. Like, and so if you can, okay, I'm just going to make up some numbers. But if you're used to having sex with your partner, let's say 2 times a week, and now
Hmm.
stuff has happened and you haven't been able to have sex with them in 2 weeks, and now you're starting to get frustrated. The first sign of frustration, if you can gently say, hey, babe, I am really missing you. Like
Yeah.
I'm really missing
You
our
really
together
are.
time.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling, you can say that softly because
Yeah.
it's starting to bother you, but you're not angry level 10 yet or
Yeah.
frustrated
And
or
not making
resentful or what.
demands, right? Just this
Right.
is hard. I miss you. Like we
Yeah.
haven't, or just, yeah, I'm putting, what do we say? Like name it, don't shame it. Like it's been a while. I miss
Ooh.
you.
Yeah. So if you can
And
start that simply, that's going to be easier to work back into this, because it's just like, oh, you miss me? Yeah, I miss you, and then, okay, well, what do you want to do? What would feel good? Like that, we
yeah.
can have a nice, essentially conversation out of partnership. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you wait until you are highly upset and resentful, it's going to come out. How dare you? You love everybody but
Yeah.
me. I'm not the priority. It's just going to come out as anger. So please don't do that. Please don't do
Somebody gave
that.
me the now. Somebody gave me the example once, Natalie. I think it fits here. Like, think about our frustration as a rubber band that's getting stretched. And the longer we let it go on and the tighter and tighter that rubber band gets, like as soon as you pluck it or touch it, it's gonna like snap back.
Right.
But if we can, before we get too stretched out of shape, like if we're, intervene with that rubber band, like you said, when it's been a week, it's been 10 days.
Right. That's a good
Because
analogy. Yeah.
it's so hard. I'm just thinking thinking about not even with my partner, dealing with my kids. Like if they're annoying me or I'm frustrated,
Hmm.
if I intervene and say, you're really getting on my nerves, or this is I'm activated.
Right.
Like we
Right.
do it now rather than 100 steps down the road. So
Hmm.
you're so right. Like,
Yeah.
of course we want to do it on the front end, but most of us don't.
Most of
And
us,
we're guilty
most
of
of
it too. I'll
right.
own it.
And I
We're
like,
human.
I get it. I get it
Yeah.
because,
Um,
and usually most people don't because they're hoping it'll get better. Well, I don't want to say anything until we start the
yeah.
argument because what if it resolves next week? So let me just wait. Let me just wait. Let me just wait. And I'm saying, please don't wait. At least say,
Yeah, that
because
gentle
the
check
sooner
in.
you say something, the softer you can say it, and the
Yes,
easier
I
it
love
will be
that.
to work
The
back in.
softer. I love it.
All right. So let's say you actually do wait 3 months and you are boiling mad and angry. How do you work back to it then?
Yeah. How do you
Um,
do it?
Carefully,
Yeah.
slowly. So I think the angry, it's usually resentful. It's not just anger, it's usually like resentment for
Yeah.
whatever's going on. And then let me also say this. When some people, let's say it's a situation of maybe a partner's parent has died and they're dealing with depression and the household and cleaning stuff
Agree.
up and the grief and the craziness, then I know the other partner is going to be reluctant to say something like, I miss you. It's been 3 months since we had sex, because they see their partner hurting.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm saying you still got to say something.
I'm
And
so with you, Natalie. I'm
yeah,
so with you.
yeah.
I
And
think we
just,
get afraid in
mm-hmm,
our emotions a lot to
mm-hmm,
like encounter our partners in their emotions.
mm-hmm,
But what we know on our in our scene as therapists is like
mm-hmm,
we engage, like the sooner we engage, the
mm-hmm.
softer that, like, I love how you just,
Yeah,
like earlier were giving that, engage sooner because when we display our vulnerability, it lets our partner, they can
yeah,
be vulnerable back. And if
yeah.
your partner's lost their parent, you don't want, I know, I get it. You don't want to say
Right.
anything, but by vulnerably engaging and saying, I miss you, this is so hard. I know you miss your mom and
Mm-hmm,
I miss you. Um,
mm-hmm.
and I just want to be close, and that's I think something that we when we talk about adding back intimacy, it doesn't have to be a 0 to 100 so
Right.
fast. I think that's what a lot of our couples are afraid of,
Yeah.
that they come to us and we're going to say like, you need to have sex tonight,
Right.
like
Right.
I think that's a fear
Mm-hmm,
for some that's been
mm-hmm.
verbalized to me by a client, and like intimacy is building blocks.
It is building
How we get
blocks.
back on track, right?
And so we might have to, with a couple, and so I have 20 years worth of experience. So one couple, can y'all go to the movies and hold hands? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost want to think of it kind of like how you sexually develop through your teenage years. Okay. So
Oh,
usually there's like
yeah.
holding hands first, and then maybe some make out first. And then, and so for a couple, doing an activity where you just remember why you like your partner or that you like
Mm,
your partner, which is usually any type of activity where you can see them interact with others. And this is Esther Perel's work of kind of
mm,
taking a step back from your partner and looking at them through kind of different eyes. If we're just at the house and you're sitting on the couch, you know, in your ratty clothes, it's hard for me to see you as this attractive partner.
yeah.
I may not. But if we're out, maybe like taking a new pottery class together, and I see you across the room laughing with some people, it's just like, man, I really I remember why I like them. Like, just
Yeah.
there's other to it. So, so figuring that out might be a nice first step to kind of bring that
Mhm.
goodwill back into the relationship, and then simply starting with like holding hands, and then
Yeah.
maybe that'll lead to a little makeout session, and then because you've been together before, once you kind of, I wouldn't say knock the cobwebs off, but I think there's a better term and I just can't think of it. That's what's coming to me. Then you'll find that you flow back into it because muscle
Yeah.
memory will kick in. It's just that
Yeah.
initial, like,
Yeah.
getting over the hump, getting back into it again. So I do want to say specifically, if you are highly angry and upset and it's been a blow up, apologizing, apologizing would be great. And then repairing the blow up. Like, I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have said that.
Mm.
Just I apologize. And then reiterating, but I really do want us to get back together again. And then let's
Yeah.
make a plan for it. So now, if all of this is all too hard to do on your own, we're here for that. We're here for
Absolutely.
that. And just giving couples better language around talking about when they're frustrated has been so helpful for so many of our couples.
Absolutely.
And a good amount of Okay, so we have us there, me and some sex therapists. We have a joke that like sex therapy is never about sex. So
I
it's
might
not.
agree with you on that.
And so we hardly ever get to talk about sex sometimes. Um, because a lot of it is communication. A lot of it is the dynamics outside of the bedroom that's literally keeping the couple from getting to the bedroom. And so this is one of them. And so just learning some basic communication skills will help you get back to a flow state so much more easily. So much more
Absolutely.
easily. And if you go into an ebb state, you probably won't ebb as long because you
Mm.
have that language there. And so get the support you need to learn these skills. You're going to be better for it. Like
I
whatever
think
you pay.
that's so
Yeah.
important,
Go
Natalie.
ahead.
Like you were just saying, like getting these skills, like it gets easier as you use them. And
Mm-hmm.
I like to think about therapy of any kind, sex therapy, physical therapy, really any therapy. Like we're practicing toward a goal. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
perfection.
Yeah.
We're here to help coach you and walk
Mm-hmm.
with you
Mm-hmm.
as therapists through these exercises. I had a client earlier this week, a new client who she said at the end, she said, I just have a question. I said, yeah, anything. Like, what can I answer?
Mm-hmm.
She said, I want to make sure that we're not just talking about sex, but like that you're going to help us like on like communication and intimacy. And I said, I hate to break it to you, but like 90% of what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is
Communication.
talking about these communication and like getting comfortable talking about intimacy. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad." And so I'm glad you brought that up. That's what we talk about. Like I think sometimes people have an idea of what sex therapists do, and we
They
know
do.
that we actually do a whole lot more.
Right.
Um, because and it's hard to start the conversation. So like Natalie said, we're here if
Mm-hmm.
you're having trouble,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes just
Yeah.
starting like just saying a few sentences can be so impactful to our
And
partners. Like, I
all
miss
right.
you. It's
I
been a
want to
long
also kind of make you guys laugh because some of my couples, we worked it out to where, like, let's say if they're in a ebb, like we've come up with specific things that they can do, even if communication is hard. And so I remember one of my
Mm.
couples, it was they would put a pillow on the steps, like,
Okay.
and that symbolized like we got to talk, or you're going to be sleeping on the couch.
Oh, I love that.
And it's just one step. And so even when communication is hard, we can help you guys figure out how to create a system of communication for you, even if it isn't verbal. And so,
Mm.
like, I love that. Because
It's,
for some of us, it is really hard to say some things out loud.
yeah.
Or everybody has different temperaments.
Hmm.
And so, if my temperament is soft, hey, could you come help me with this? But you need loud, because you're used to your parents like, here to help me. You know,
Right.
a miscommunication because I didn't hear you say it. Well, I've asked you 5 times. You what? Really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a suggestion. And so, really helping couples learn their communication patterns with each other and improving that. And
Mhm.
if y'all will come to us, we'll probably start with sex. But these are transferable skills. So if I
Mhm.
know that you haven't heard me and I've said something 3 times, and in the area of sex, I put a pillow on the steps, well, maybe I could put a pillow on the steps for something else, or
Yes,
maybe I need to
it's
put a
practice.
sticky in the
Yeah.
bathroom, and so these become transferable skills to really help the couple learn to communicate.
Mm.
And it's so much communication. So, all right, in the last 2 minutes we have, what is the takeaway you want people to have to know?
Mm. I think the takeaway, and this has come up in a few of our go lives since I started with you, Natalie, is don't wait.
Yeah.
I used to say when I was working as a pastoral counselor, we would talk about honesty a lot with ourselves and our relationships, with whatever your spiritual belief is. If we can't be honest with our intimate partner, then why are we in relationship with them?
That's
And
so good.
and I know for me, like it's important to be in a
Mhm.
like to maintain a relationship. So don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Start that conversation. Give us a call. There's no harm in like starting the conversation. And the longer we wait, the harder it is. So that's my takeaway is
Yeah.
um, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Like,
The sooner the better.
don't wait 2 years. Don't wait till you haven't had sex for 2 years and then be like, why aren't we having sex
Mm-hmm.
anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
not to say like come to us. Even if it's been two
Yeah.
years, like we're here to help start that conversation.
Definitely
Um,
so.
but I want people to start it at 2 weeks or 2 days, not
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. Definitely so. And I think this is one of the things where we used to run a premarital counseling, and sex was part of it. It's so that we can really help couples with that ounce of prevention. Just some statements around, hey, y'all are newlyweds and y'all love to be with each other all the time right now, and life is allowing. Um, or you're making life allow. But later on, it's not going to be that easy. So let's talk about the skills you're going to
Do
need
it.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that you can even probably start practicing these skills right now. And so if you can have those skills in place, it's going to make everything easier. And so I say that to say some couples, if either one of you guys have ever been a little frustrated with an ebb in the relationship, why not reach out now
yeah,
where we could like probably just help you and tweak a little bit. And so it will prevent further pain in the future. So anyway,
absolutely.
we're here. All right, we're out of time. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Like, subscribe, all the things you know you're supposed to do. And we'll see you
Yeah,
next week.
we're here for you. Thanks,
All
Natalie.
right.
I'll see you
You're
soon.
welcome. Bye.
Bye.